When power is up for grabs, loyalty becomes the most dangerous lie. In episode 5 of BMF Season 4, the calm faces hide the storm. No gunshots needed, just a whisper, a glance, or a decision behind closed doors. This episode proves that betrayal doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it walks in silent. Meech is playing a dangerous game, and the board keeps changing. As he tries to push into new territory, he's no longer just fighting rivals, he's watching the people closest to him too. You can see the pressure building. He's trying to expand the business, but now every move feels like he's stepping into a trap. The streets aren't just about violence anymore, it's about strategy, loyalty, and knowing who's pretending. To stand beside you. In this episode, Meech starts sensing that not everyone in his circle is solid. Some people are smiling in his face but whispering behind his back. He's always trusted his instincts, but even he knows that instinct can't always protect you from the people you love. The air between Meech and his closest allies is getting thick. Every conversation feels heavy. Something is off. You can feel the silence growing, and that silence is dangerous. Meanwhile, in the Flennory household, Charles and Lucille continue dealing with their own cracks. It's not about money or business, it's about trust. Charles is still trying to fix his mistakes, but Lucille isn't letting it go so easily. The betrayal in their marriage mirrors the betrayal in the streets. It shows how broken trust can destroy anything, whether it's a relationship or a criminal empire. Even though their family drama feels separate from Meech's street wars, it's not. It's the emotional foundation of who he is. And when that foundation shakes, so does everything else. At the same time, the police are getting smarter. They're no longer chasing shadows, they're setting traps. One of the most intense parts of this episode is watching how the detectives quietly close in. They know that violence makes noise, but betrayal is quiet, so they wait. They watch. And they find the weak links inside BMF. You can tell they're setting up someone from the inside to turn informant. The question is, who will crack first? This entire episode feels like everyone is holding their breath. Even Terry is quieter than usual. You can tell he's thinking differently, seeing things in a new light. He's watching Meech, he's watching the business. And most importantly, he's watching his own back. There's a coldness in him now, something that wasn't there before. He's not just riding alongside Meech anymore. He's thinking like his own boss. And that shift could change everything. By the end of the episode, there are no shootouts. No big explosions, but there is tension deep and growing. People are starting to choose sides, even if they haven't said it out loud yet. Meech feels it, Terry feels it, even the audience feels it. The real betrayal hasn't happened yet, but it's close. You can hear it in the silence, see it in the eyes of characters who once stood together. This is the kind of betrayal that builds slowly. And when it breaks, everything will fall. Power isn't always taken with a gun, it's taken with silence, timing, and knowing when to step aside just long enough to strike later. In episode 5, Terry starts showing he's not just Meech's little brother anymore, he's a leader in his own right. And the way he's moving proves it. He's no longer waiting for Meech to call the shots. He's thinking ahead, playing chess while everyone else plays checkers, but the real twist? He's doing it quietly. No one sees it coming, not even Meech. Terry's relationship with Markeisha is a big part of that shift. She's not just his lover, she's an influence, a powerful one. Markeisha knows the game, and she plays it well. She whispers the right things, makes subtle suggestions, and Terry listens. Maybe more than he should. You can feel her pushing him toward independence, reminding him that his future doesn't have to be tied to Meech forever. That pressure isn't loud, it's in the looks she gives, the questions she asks, the doubts she plants. Terry is listening, and each episode he pulls further away from his brother's shadow. While Meech focuses on expansion, Terry focuses on survival. He's looking at the numbers, the risks, the holes in their operation that could bury them both. He's not trying to be flashy, he's trying to be smart. He meets with different people, moves in different spaces, and starts thinking like a man who doesn't want to take orders anymore. The power struggle hasn't turned into a fight yet, but it's coming, and it won't be about pride, it'll be about vision. Two brothers, two paths. And only one can lead. Meanwhile, there's a shift happening in the streets. A new rival steps into the picture, quiet but dangerous. The episode doesn't give us everything about him yet, but the few scenes we get are enough. This man is patient, smart, and watching the BMF brothers like prey. He doesn't move like the old enemies. They were loud and messy. This new threat is strategic, and that makes him 10 times more dangerous. He doesn't need to pull a trigger yet. He just needs to wait for Meech and Terry to divide themselves. Inside BMF, the tension is building. Foot soldiers start asking questions, loyalty gets tested. Money is still flowing, but trust is running dry. There's a scene where a lower-level member hesitates before taking orders, and that hesitation means more than anything spoken. It means doubt has entered the crew. Doubt leads to division, and division? That leads to downfall. The power isn't slipping yet, but it's shifting. From Meech, from Terry, from the center. Markeisha sees all of this, and her influence continues to grow. She's not holding a gun, but she's shaping decisions. And that makes her one of the most dangerous players in this game. Terry may not see it now, but the audience does. She's building something, not just for him, but for herself. Whether that includes loyalty to Terry or not remains unclear. By the end of this section, one thing is certain: BMF's enemies aren't just on the outside anymore. They're sitting at the table, smiling, planning, and waiting. The real war won't start with a bang. It'll start with a decision. A quiet one. And when it does, no one will be ready. Every dream comes with a price, but in BMF, ambition doesn't just cost money, it costs blood, trust, and sometimes even your own soul. Episode 5 pulls back the curtain on just how far Meech and Terry are willing to go, and the quiet sacrifices they make aren't heroic, they're terrifying. What makes it worse? They don't even flinch. They've grown so used to loss that it feels normal. That's the true cost of the life they've built. Meech is chasing something bigger than street power. He wants to build an empire. But empires demand more than leadership, they demand sacrifice. In this episode, Meech gets closer to high level players, trying to position himself as more than just a local dealer. He's aiming for national reach. But in doing that, he starts walking into rooms where loyalty means nothing and betrayal is just another business tactic. The people he meets don't care about the BMF brotherhood. They care about results, and that's a language Meech is just starting to learn. The look in his eyes says it all. He knows he's leaving pieces of himself behind to climb this ladder. Terry, on the other hand, faces a brutal personal choice. He wants to protect his family, stay low, and run things smarter, but ambition won't let him. In episode 5, we see Terry faced with a situation where personal feelings and business don't mix. It could be a friend, a partner, or even Markeisha. Someone close becomes a liability, and Terry knows what has to be done. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't break down. He just hardens. The moment is quiet, but you feel it hit like a gunshot. The boy who once wanted out is now just as deep in the game as his brother, may be deeper. One of the most haunting elements of this episode is Lamar's presence, even when he isn't on screen. His name, his chaos, his past, it lingers. His shadow still shapes decisions, still influences how everyone moves. People still whisper his name like a curse. Even in silence, he's a force of fear. That's what makes him dangerous. He doesn't need to be there physically to shake the foundation of Meech and Terry's world. His legacy is violence, and it keeps haunting them. As the walls close in, betrayal finally starts showing its face. Someone flips, it's not loud, there's no big scene. Just a look, a missing piece, a conversation that doesn't make sense. The betrayal is happening, and it's someone no one suspected. But Meech is sharp. He starts piecing it together. Still, knowing you're being betrayed isn't the same as stopping it. And in this world, once trust is gone, the whole thing starts to crumble. Law enforcement tightens its grip. This episode shows how methodical they've become. They don't need to chase. They wait. They record. They build their case quietly. They're targeting someone close, and it's not just to arrest them, it's to turn them into a weapon. A witness, a rat. You can see the setup and you know someone is going to talk, not because they want to, but because they're cornered. And when someone speaks, everything BMF built could fall in one move, the most chilling part. None of the main players seem surprised. This is the cost they expected. And yet, when it happens, it still hurts. You see it in their eyes. Meech hardens, Terry grows cold. Their bond as brothers remains, but it's under pressure now. And pressure can burst even the strongest blood ties. By the end of this part, the episode has made one thing clear: ambition doesn't forgive. It only takes, and for BMF, the taking has just begun. The storm hasn't hit yet, but you can feel the wind changing. Episode 5 doesn't end with chaos, it ends with a warning. A calm before destruction. Every move made in this episode is like loading a bullet into the chamber. No one's pulled the trigger yet, but the gun is cocked. BMF is standing on the edge, and when they fall, it won't be a stumble. It'll be a collapse. Meech is carrying the weight of everything now: leadership, expansion, betrayal. He's still the face of BMF, but behind the eyes, you can see exhaustion creeping in. There's a moment in this episode where he pauses, not because he's scared, but because he knows what's coming. He knows the moves he's making will force his enemies to react, and he's ready. That silent readiness, that calm confidence, scarier than rage. It means Meech isn't just reacting anymore. He's preparing for war. Terry is further away from his brother than ever before. Emotionally, mentally, even physically. He's taking his own meetings, making his own deals, and trusting fewer people. And yet, there's a sadness in him. You can tell he still wants unity, but the choices he's made are pulling him down a darker road. That moment when a small-time crew challenges his authority, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't negotiate. He asserts himself like a boss, quiet, cold, final. That's when you know Terry's not just surviving now. He's learning how to dominate, but domination comes at a price. The seeds planted in this episode are already cracking the soil. We seaside characters making quiet calls, having strange meetings, withholding information. These aren't mistakes. They're setups. The real enemy might not be the rival gang or the police, it might be the disloyal heart inside the organization. And in this episode, someone close is already preparing to switch sides. They haven't done it yet, but they will. Because the money is drying up, the fear is fading, and the future? It's no longer guaranteed. The episode ends with a scene that says everything without saying a word. A character we've trusted looks straight ahead, expression blank, phone in hand. Then they make a call? We don't hear what's said. We don't see who's on the other end, but we know. Something has been set in motion. The endgame has begun. Meech and Terry aren't boys in the streets anymore. They're kings, but kings with too many enemies, too many cracks in their castle, and not enough time. Their bond is still there, but loyalty is becoming a luxury. Episode 5 sets up Episode 6 to explode, and when it does, someone important won't make it out. That's the feeling you're left with. In BMF, silence isn't peace, it's preparation. And when people stop talking, they start acting. The final moments of this episode are warning to the audience. Everything you've seen so far was just a build-up. The real war starts now.